it's Ruthie from RuthieGray.mom, and welcome to Instagram Insider Hacks. So easy, your mom can do it. This is the podcast that teaches you how to authentically deliver your message in a non-pushy way. If you want to receive engagement and investment on your Insta time, listen in. And now, here's your host, me, Ruthie Gray. I am so excited for today's episode. My special guest is pro coaching member Wren Robbins from Friends of a Feather podcast. Welcome, Wren.
Thank you so much. I'm waving on the screen. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, because Wren is my podcasting coach. And let me tell you a little bit about her before we get started. Wren Robbins is the host of the Friends of a Feather podcast, a podcast coach, and was featured as number 4 on the top 50 moms in podcasting from Podcast Magazine 2020. Wren delights in encouraging women in their daily lives and in spurring them on to use their gifts and talents God has given them. So welcome to the show, Wren Robbins, my special podcast coach.
Yay! I'm so excited to be here. This is so sweet. So sweet of you to have me on. I'm excited.
You know, no pressure, but this is going to be a really good episode because you are the expert, right?
No, I just love what I do, and I just love to tell everybody and share it with others. So, no, we're just going to have a good old conversation. We're probably going to have to bring it back down because we could talk for an hour like we used to do.
Yeah, Wren and I started together at the beginning of the coronavirus in the spring, because I saw that everybody was going to be stuck home, including me. And I knew that 2020 was my year for a podcast. And so she and I got hooked up, and she took me through 3 months. The first 2 was all the prep work and how to get ready for the podcast. And then I launched the podcast in our 3rd month together. And then that was good. That was very smart because I knew there was going to be tech problems, and there were right off the bat.
And there always is. But I thought that was so smart of you to do that, is to start podcast coaching, but then the launch is in the middle of the coaching so that we could walk through that. I thought that was genius.
Well, every once in a while I have a good idea. So yeah, we used to meet every week, every Thursday at 3:00 for an hour. And I would just learn from the master there, because Wren has been podcasting for 4 years, right?
Yeah. It's amazing. I started out not knowing anything, teaching myself, all of it. It's all self-taught, but then I've just honed my craft and skill. And so I was so excited to really start this business a couple months ago with you. And so you have been my guinea pig, my awesome, smart guinea pig to, see what works and what doesn't and what you need. And so that's been really helpful for me.
Well, it made all the difference for me. I'm so thankful that God brought us together. And now I have Instagram Insider Hacks. So easy, your mom can do it. And then what happened was the teacher turned around and became the student. And Wren joined my summer pro group to learn the ways of Instagram.
Love it.
So one of the things that she picked up in that group was my Go Live Jumpstart Kit, which I also created during COVID-19 because everyone was stuck home. And I said, this is the time. Now is the time to go live. And you hadn't been doing that, had you?
No, I knew. I had so much information in my head that I knew I needed to go live. I knew I needed to do it on a consistent basis, but I was not doing it. I let fear stop me and let just indecision stop me. And so that's what the Go Live Jumpstart Kit did for me, because I didn't know what to do. And so when I remember sitting down, I print out all the courses I take or all the things, the programs, I always print them out. I was talking to my friend and she was like, "You're crazy. I just do it on my computer." I'm like, "Nope, I print it all out. I'm a paper girl." And so I printed it out, and I remember working through that and writing down my ideas that you guide through that download. And it was so freeing to me to be like, yeah, I can do this. So I love it so much. I love that you input practical ideas with it, and then it puts it back on how do we make it our own. And so that's what I've really learned through that Go Live Jumpstart Kit. And I've gone live every week. I started early and then in June, and then I took some time off. And then July, I've been doing it every Wednesday.
That's amazing. And it's so good to be consistent, isn't it? That helps, doesn't it?
It really does.
So what Wren is talking about filling out, there is a workbook that comes with the Go Live Jumpstart Kit. How did that workbook help you to figure out what to do with lives?
Well, it really helped me hone down with who is my audience? What do I have that they need and that they want and that is useful to them? And that's where I was, one time I remember, this was a few months ago. No, it was probably further than that, probably 6 months ago. And I did a live on how to stop making smoothies with milk. What? Like, who cares about smoothies without milk? Now, if you are like into health or wellness and that is your thing, if you're a trainer, great. I'm not that. Why in the world was I doing a live on taking milk out of my smoothies? Like, hello. So that's where it kind of came down to, Wren, who is your audience? Who are you fine tuning this for? Who can you help by doing this live? And that's where it helped me so much.
Exactly, because we all have a targeted message on Instagram, but we have to figure out what people want or need from us so that we're just not saying words into the air and no one is showing up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So what are some of the things that you figured out to teach on?
Well, at that time when I was starting to coach you, and I had a few other clients as well, just by word of mouth, which I was like, okay, maybe this is something here. I started talking with you. I started following you, and I started watching your lives. And I was like, this is incredible. Like, so much value that Ruthie gives every time she does a live, and in your Instagram and your feed and stories. And so I was like, okay, that's what I really need. And so then when I was walking you through the podcast, and then we were talking about your membership group, your pro group, I was like, I'm all in. I am all in. I love Instagram. I love Insta stories. I love video, but I need some fine tuning. I need to know the craft that you do, that you use to teach us. And so that's what led me into it. And I was like, I'm all in. And let me tell you, I said this, I think I said this to you, and I might have said this to another friend, is that it has been so worth it. Even in the first couple of weeks, I realized this was way worth it to get into your membership group, because you taught me about the Go Live Kit was specifically about how you did it, the steps to do it. So many people say, go live. Here's ideas about to go live. Well, but you took it and you said, okay, let's do the practical. Let's insert slides into this. Let me show you how to do that. And so that's what was really helpful for me, is the practical application of doing it. And then also the confidence. I mean, that's a whole big thing of getting over the imposter syndrome. I know episode 3 of your podcast is about that. I've listened to it. I need to listen to it again and again, but it's a thing. Imposter syndrome is a thing. And so I had to get over that. And your Go Live workbook helped me through that, of all the steps that I wrote down, what I was good at, what people are asking me in the DMs. And as I did that, that's how I fine-tuned that it's about podcast tips. That's what I need to give my listeners, and that's what I need to get those people that are in my tribe on Instagram.
Yes. And you kind of took a pivot there, which we'll get to in a minute. But the whole point of the Instagram Insider Hacks podcast is to make it so easy your mom can do it. And in every product that I make, I want that to shine through. And I think it did come through in the Go Live Jumpstart Kit, which, by the way, if you're listening right now and you're wondering where that is, I'll put it in the show notes. So the other thing that you and I were talking about with going live too is the excitement now that you can now save your lives to IGTV. Tell me a little bit about why you like that.
All right, this is why I like that so much, Ruthie, is because I remember setting up my ring light, my camera, or my phone, and recording videos for specifically for IGTV, sharing podcast tips. This was only a few months ago, and it was great. But then I don't know, I cannot tell you how many times that I would set up my phone and record and have to re-record. There were so many short videos where I kept messing up and kept messing up and kept messing up, and I was just so frustrated with it. And then I realized that, or they came out with the feature, Instagram came out with the feature where you can take your lives that you do and you can convert them straight into IGTV. You download them on your phone if you want to repurpose them into YouTube or something else. And then you save them straight to IGTV. You can put links in the comments. Unbelievable. And so I was pumped because I get so much energy from doing live video. I love it. If I'm going to come on, I remember there was a Facebook group for my son's school and I was ahead of Teacher Appreciation Week. Well, I could type all this out and, tell them all the information, blah, blah, blah. And people are just reading and sometimes they don't even want to read. Or I could come on, this is in April, the end of April, and I could come on and do live video. And so I did. I went live in that group. And so it doesn't just affect like what we do on Instagram. It gives you confidence for other things. And now I love doing that. And the teachers appreciated that, to hear kind of my voice and saying, hey, I'm sorry, this is a crazy time. Let's do something else. We're going to do something else for teacher appreciation. Anyway, all that to say is IGTV, having that go from your live is huge because of the energy that live video brings. Now, are there mistakes? Yep. Is it real life? You betcha. But I think that's the beauty of it. People do not want to see perfect because there's not such a thing. So that's why I love the fact of live video so much and IGTV.
I agree with you. And the other thing is there's social proof there. People are showing up and interacting with you. And so it even defines you more as an authority in your topic that you're teaching. And other people see that and say, hey, maybe I need to pay attention and follow this person. So it really does make all the difference, I think, just that energy. But let's get back to your pivot. It's interesting to try to make a pivot on Instagram when you're known for one thing and then you decide you want to add something else in it, and you don't know if your audience is going to be accepting of it or not. I know I did this personally summer before last, when I decided to transition out of just strictly being a mom mentor to now being an Instagram mentor. And it took a lot of guts and a lot of effort. So tell me the pivot that you're making and how it's being received.
So my pivot is I am a podcaster. I've been, like you said earlier, a podcaster for 4 years, and I share women's God stories with listeners and just to encourage us in our daily life, our walks with Jesus, to spur them on in their walk. And so I do that, and I publish every Friday comes a new episode with a conversation with a lady that is following the Lord and wants to share her story with us. So but then in March, I put a question out there, and I started wanting to do podcast coaching. I was going to do a podcast course, and then I kind of veered off of that and realized how much I love interacting one-on-one and even with a smaller group. And so that's really my pivot, is pivoting from, yes, I'm podcasting and I'm still continuing to do that, but I'm also going to be offering podcast coaching that is customized. And so that's kind of what I'm walking through. And you have been really helpful for me with that, because it is a difference and it is scary. And it's, what if people don't respond to this? But the response has been excellent. Even listeners who follow me on Instagram or on Facebook are watching and commenting and are encouraged by this. Not that they're going to start their own podcast, but that's okay. It doesn't matter. I mean, I'm giving service and value through the podcast. So I'm doing a little bit of both. I just started working that podcast coaching, those podcast tips into my feed, and you have been a measurable help for me in that.
I love that you're doing that. And, so many people are afraid if they do coaching that they are going to give too much away. If they give tips like on IGTV and in the feed and things like that, maybe they're giving away too much and someone won't hire them. But you really can't outgive on Instagram, can you?
No, and I'm nodding my head so much because that was a huge roadblock for me. I'm so glad you said that, because I was afraid, well, if I give them this, then why would they hire me to do coaching if they've got all the tips? The tips are endless. They are endless if you are proficient in your craft. And that's the case for me. And so I love that you said that. That is definitely a roadblock, but you really have to step past that. And when it's, I think Christy Wright says, jab, jab, punch. You jab, jab, you give, and then you sell. You don't always sell. You don't always give. You do both.
The difference too is, like, I give personalized coaching and group coaching strategies that are more personalized towards your personal Instagram account, as opposed to just the broad tips that I offer when I'm doing anything, any kind of tips that I'm giving in IGTV or lives or in the feed or stories or whatever. And I feel like you do that too. But the other thing is that Kathy Ladansky mentioned this in episode 4 in her interview. You can gather up information from here and there and you can Google, but that takes a lot of time. So why wouldn't you just hire somebody that is the expert? And that was my whole thing with you. I was like, I don't want to have to do a course. I don't have time for that. I just need someone to hold my hand and tell me how to do this. And it's just so worth it to spend the money on that one thing. And then you save yourself so much time.
I love that. And I was just thinking about a quote of something that might be special or unique or basic for us is special and unique to someone else. And so definitely get out there and offer it, especially if you have the background like you do with Instagram. It's something that comes natural and easy. Yes, you work at it, but it comes natural and easy to you, and you've used these tips and it's worked for you. And I remember you saying that, it just works. And so that's kind of like me with the podcasting. It just works. So just do what works.
Yeah, absolutely. So share a little bit about what you have learned from Summer Pro, or something that stuck out, or some of your impressions.
Well, I love it so much because what I didn't realize that I was going to get is community. I really didn't realize that the other women in that group are offering so much encouragement, for number one, and advice in the kindest way. And so we can bounce ideas off of each other. And I just really didn't expect that. So that would be the number one thing, is the community that I didn't expect, an unexpected blessing. And I love that. Also, you are really there for us to, like you said, specifically look at each one of our Instagram accounts or what we're doing. You really hear the heartbeat behind us and what we want. We know that our tribe is needing from us. And so you really kind of zone it down into what our tribe needs from us, what our followers on Instagram need, what we can give to others. And so I love that you just kind of shine a spotlight on that. And I love that as well. There's so much. Of course, we get the Go Live kit in the middle of it, which I love so much. But I love just that personal touch that you add. And there's one day a week that everybody gets to share their feedback. And I remember, not sure what to do. I just getting honest. Like, I don't know what this is about. And it's so much feedback. So it's been incredible. It really has been amazing. And it's definitely worth, like I said earlier, worth every penny in the first couple weeks, really.
I love it. I'm so glad you decided to be a groupie.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. And I want to keep going because of all of the things that like you said, it works and it's working for me. The engagement on my Instagram is unbelievable from where it was. And that's another thing about that you brought out of me is that, the engagement part of things, but it's about that community on Instagram. And that's what I was wanting to put content out, but it wasn't just the engagement part of it. Like that's what it's here for. It's for engaging. It's for getting to know people. And I have thoroughly enjoyed that I didn't expect that either.
Yeah, it is. It's called social media for a reason.
That's right.
You said something a little bit ago that triggered a memory from a while back.
Yes.
What was that about?
I got to tell you, girl, this is so crazy. One day I was talking to a friend of mine. She's my business buddy. And she sent me your Instagram page because I was talking about, I was like, I really didn't know. This was about a year ago. And I really didn't know what I was going to do. If I was, podcast coaching was not even in my head. People kept saying, you need to teach podcasting. And I kept saying, no. Not sure why, but I just said, no, nobody wants that, which they're proving me wrong. But and she said, hey, check out this girl on Instagram. I think she's doing what you want to do because I love social media so much. And I was like, oh, yeah, I love Instagram. Yeah. And I went to your account and it was you. And I started following. And then my friend and mentor, Melanie, that you had on the podcast earlier, she said, hey, you need to look at my friend, because I mentioned to her about doing something with this. She goes, you need to check out my friend's Instagram, Ruthie Gray. And I was like, wait, but here's the cool thing. It was on the same day. It was the same day that they both sent me your Instagram. And I've never told you that, but I looked at you and I thought, if she can do it with 3,000 followers, and then you see everybody else having, 30,000 and 60,000, and you're like, whoa, and I saw that you were making money and you are being a blessing to your family and you were getting the job done while you had less than 10,000 followers. And I know you mentioned that on one of your episodes, is that you do not have to have this huge amount of followers in order to make money, in order to get your message out. And that was huge, just seeing you and saying, you know what? There's something to this girl. And so I wanted to tell you that was about a year ago and it happened on the same day. And then here we are. You hired me for your podcast coach, and now I'm hiring you as a pro member in your Instagram group. Isn't that the coolest thing ever?
I never knew that. Because when I approached you to see if you would coach me, I didn't know any of that. I just now found this out, y'all.
A list of prizes on podcast.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome. Well, Wren, it has just been a pleasure to have you here today, my podcasting coach, talking about Instagram, and we've been learning from each other. And it just goes to show you that you should always keep an open mind when you are in groups with people, in Facebook groups, in Instagram groups, wherever. When you meet people, keep an open mind to make the path wide for relationships, because you never know when collaborations can come, and you never know what God can use through that. And you never know when they're going to become your own client. So don't discount that, right?
Absolutely. And I just love you so much. And I'm so grateful that God did cross our paths and that we're able to spur each other on in what you're good at and what I'm good at. And I love your podcast every Monday morning. I am listening. So keep doing it. You're doing an awesome, awesome job.
That's huge to me. That is just the hugest compliment right there. So tell the folks, Wren, where can they find you?
Well, I am on Instagram and Facebook at Friends of a Feather Podcast, or you can find me at wrenrobbins.com.
And she is amazing, and her podcast is amazing. So go check it out.
Thank you so much.
And thank you so much, Wren, for being with us.
Thank you. It was fun.